my thing with the Nerds is if you don't like Loomis's roster construction, if you don't like his cap decisions, if you don't like how he drafts,
Suck it.
Point me to like where it's failed. Because 7-9 is the worst he's done in like 16 years in New Orleans. And like, and if like that's not okay, it's like, yeah, but you got, I've been told for 15 years that this strategy, eventually you pay the piper. Eventually you gotta pay the piper, right? That's what we keep being told. Well,
that's what they said.
Just the Saints were $100 million over the cap last year. They were $70 million over this year. Still got Jarvis Landry. Still got Tyrann Mathieu. Still traded to get 2 first-round picks, right? Retooled the roster. So, like, my question to the Nerds is, when do you admit you're wrong? Like, at what point? Like,
never.
Like, right, I get that, but it's like, I mean, at least be honest about it. Say, like, unless the Saints win a Super Bowl, all their decisions are horrible.
Can't do it. People, when they make up their mind on something, they will not openly admit that they were wrong. They may casually say, well, guess I didn't have that right. But then they will just keep on moving forward as though they never said any of that wrong shit before. That's just how people are.
Here's the thing.
The line of you got to
be wrong on something. They will be wrong on something, and they will harp on the thing that they are wrong about for months and years on end. And then when they are confronted with reality, they will just simply, it'll be like the game of fucking Pong. Yep. They will bloop and then go off in another direction. And that's it.
Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing, and I get all that. You move the goalpost because you can never admit you're wrong, because then that's condemning yourself or whatever. But my thing about the whole Loomis and Loomis math and all that is the detractors. The thing that they never admit, and this is the part that really gets me. All right, when you look at Loomis, at least tell me, like, say something like, if you don't win a Super Bowl, everything short of that is a failure. Like, go ahead and say that. So then at least I can be like, okay, yeah, if you want to win a Super Bowl or bust, then you can criticize. But, like, I don't know. I tend to be one of these people that's like, if you make the playoffs, you have a shot at the Super Bowl. And we don't really know how the playoffs are going to go. It's a crapshoot because it's single elimination. And case in point, with the Saints in the playoffs the last several years, weird shit happens, and you lose a game that you thought you were about to win, right? So I just feel like get in, and I feel like the Saints are due to get in the playoffs, not really deserve to be there, and win games they're not supposed to because of weird shit. I feel like they're due to have an incredible run when they're not as good as they've been in years past.
I think the mindset for a head coach is we got to get to the Super Bowl. That's where we got to get to. I feel like hold on,
but you can't get to the Super Bowl if you don't get to the playoffs first.
No. But I feel like the mindset of a general manager is we just got to get to the playoffs. Like those are their goals. Those are their all time. Like Dennis Allen, like as a head coach, you got to get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl if you want to keep your job. If you want to be a good general manager that just keeps their job all the time, if you just keep getting to the playoffs, you're fine. I think you're fine.
Let me
exactly
ask you
what
this,
you're
Dave.
saying.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Would you agree? I'm going to make a statement. You tell me if you agree or not. I think 10% of the fan base or less is Super Bowl or bust.
Yes.
Everybody else is like, I hope I have a good time on Sunday. I'm going to take my kid. I'm going to take my family, whatever.
Yeah.
I hope I have a good time on Sunday. I hope the Saints win. And if they make the playoffs, that would be amazing because then I get more games, and I hope they win that one too. But that is their mentality.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the same thing if you're a general manager. Like, you just want to get your team into the playoffs on a regular basis, and you then and at that point you rely on your coach to coach the team, and
so when you're running that business. And you want to appease to the 90, let's call it 90%, even though I think the number's higher. let's say it's 90% of the fans. Let's say you want to appease to 90% of your fan base by making the play, like trying to win on Sunday more times than not, maybe making the playoffs as a wild card. That is a better business proposition than Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
And these nerds are telling you, no, that's wrong. You want to rip it to the studs. If you're not going to win the Super Bowl, rip it to the studs.
I want to
pick first overall, rip it to the studs. Your cap number needs to be 0. Cut all your veterans, trade everybody, get as many draft picks as you can. Make sure you go 1-16 in the process because you got to get that first pick overall.
I want to give an example.
You got to get it. And meanwhile, let's make sure fans suffer through all 16 losses that you're going to have in a season, and that's a better business proposition.
We're talking about the Dolphins,
but
right?
Kevin, I want to give an example to people of a podcast that I was listening to. I'm going to butcher his name, but Shale Kapati and somebody else. It was from The Athletic and somebody else, and they were rating.
Ralph can't say anyone's name right.
They were rating the 5 best GMs and the 5 worst, and one of their criticisms of Buffalo was, I shit you not, they were like, well, they traded up for Josh Allen, but they couldn't have known that Josh Allen was going to be a star quarterback. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Buffalo literally knew it. They literally said, we got to get from pick 21 to in the top 10 so we can take Josh Allen. Like, that's not even a Saints thing. Like, if you're not going to give a team credit when they trade up and get it right, like, your opinion doesn't matter. Like, because if a team trades up and they get it right, the correct answer is, I was wrong about that. They got that one right.
Right.
I think the most interesting thing, the most telling thing in this whole conversation was what Andrew said at the very top. He said the worst season Mickey Loomis has ever had in these last 15 years, 16, 17 years, 7-9. You know, that's a pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty impressive stat. I mean, I know, 7-9. That's not sexy, but for that to be the worst, for that to be the floor. You know, we always talk when we talk about the draft. We always talk about guys and having low floors, high floors, low ceilings, that kind of shit. You know, the Saints would be one of those players where you say, well, he may not be amazing, but he's never going to be terrible. And that's kind of like, you know, that's what we've got.
Isn't it about winning games? Isn't the NFL as a business about winning games?
It is.
Like, I feel like the nerds
nerds
are trying, and maybe 5% of the fan base are trying to infect us with this theory of you got to win 13 games or more. If you're in the 10 to 12 range, that's actually
ignoring.
That's actually worse than winning 2.
Well, they're ignoring all business, repercussions. They're not thinking about what's good for business. They want.
I had the name on it. Was Ben Baldwin.
They're not thinking about
the Bills.
So. They're not thinking the same way that the owner is thinking.
I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to watch the Saints win a Super Bowl. It's not like I'm anti-winning a Super Bowl, but this whole thing of being in the 10 to 11 win zone, that's just I'd rather just lose a bunch and have a better draft pick. Have we seen the teams at the bottom?
You'd rather be the Browns?
Detroit, New York Jets. They're consistently down
Jacksonville.
there.
Jacksonville.
They win 5 or less games every year. What's it like being a fan of those teams? And how is picking in the top 5 going for them?
Horrible. And the Saints
do it every year. Has it fixed their fortunes?
Well, it's kind of, it's
do free agents want to sign there?
It's kind
of some of them do, and somehow it still doesn't fix the problem.
It's kind of a twist of irony because, or it's really like a circle that never ends, because you've got bad teams, and they're bad because they're terrible at drafting players and making good decisions, and then they lose more games, and then they keep getting high picks, and then they just keep drafting bad players. And there's no break in that cycle. Somewhere along
sadness.
It's got to be.
Here is what I submit to the nerds. If you're gonna bang on the Saints, If you're going to tell me that Mickey Loomis's cap management is awful, if you're going to tell me that the Saints draft poorly, if you're going to tell me that their roster construction sucks, okay? Tell me what the record has to be for you to be wrong. I would humbly submit, if the Saints go 10-7, are you wrong?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
They make the playoffs.
If they make the playoffs, are you wrong? Did you make a mistake in giving them a D in their draft grade? Did you make a mistake when you wrote that article and said Mickey Loomis is a bottom 5 general manager? No shit. I have seen those articles. They exist. Where Mickey Loomis
say no, because 10-7 is not worth giving up a future first. That's what they would say. And they're nerds.
And you know what? If they truly believe that, then they should never, ever run a business. Ever. Ever.
And watch football. Like, what's the point of if you can't?
I don't want to necessarily be the arbiter of that, but at that point, I would ask, what do you enjoy in life? Period. Like, what do you enjoy? What does it take for you to enjoy something? Look, I want the team to make the playoffs. That's it. How do you get to the Super Bowl? Well, you have to make the playoffs first. And we've seen that if you make the playoffs, we've seen sixth seeds make the Super Bowl. We've seen that happen. We have seen, I believe it was the Giants, we have seen sixth seeds make it to the Super Bowl and win.
And beat undefeated teams.
Correct.
That's correct.
So again, for me,
and we're due for that. I just want to say, I want to make that point again. We are due for that.
Yeah.
Make it to the playoffs. That's it.
That would be the most.
Now, hang on. Now, if you want me to assess, well, was the Chris Olave pick a good pick? Go back to what I said in the podcast after the draft, like what Olave has to do. I said something to the effect of he needs to have 1,200 yards, like around 8 touchdowns. He needs to be a potential offensive rookie of the year finalist, something like that. That's for the pick. If you want me to say, well, what do the Saints need to do to have a successful season? Make it to the postseason. Make it to the postseason. That's it. If you if your method of success is Super Bowl or bust or championship or bust, you are going to be a disappointed person 99.9% of the time in your life. And that is a miserable fucking existence. It is miserable. And I don't want to have that life. I really don't.
When you're a GM since 2006 and you're in the top 5 in the NFL in wins, and since 2017, you're in the top 5 in the NFL in wins. At what point do you get the benefit of the doubt?
Fair question.
Yeah, no, it's
the process, exactly. Andrew. Their process is not good.
No, it's fine.
And they just stumbled into Drew.
Everyone tells me that Cleveland has a better process. Tell me how many wins they have since 2017. Tell me how many wins they have since 2006. Compare the two. But apparently Cleveland has a better process. Let that sink in.
Thanks for watching the Saints Happy Hour. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then find us wherever you get your podcast. And finally, go to saintshappyhour.com and become a patron of the best Saints podcast on earth.